Welcome back, everybody. In this episode of Skeleton Knight in Another World, Ark and Ariana are slowly making their way to the Holy Revolian Empire to track down the elves that are there that they got from the list of Lady Choamane in the last episode. And as they're doing so, they come across an incredible flock of real-life wyverns just making Ark's day. He's just geeking out over it. Unfortunately, not everyone is so pleased to see the wyverns. For example, for Ariana, her messaging bird is absolutely terrified, which is fair. Wyverns and birds, well, you can kind of see the predator and prey dynamics going on there. So, being a good natured guy as Ark is, he drops down, he goes over to the wyverns, and he unleashes a torrent of lightning to zap them out of the air. Now, when he returns, thinking he did a great job, he was accomplished, he solved that problem for him, they can now send out messages again. He comes back to find Lady Ariana, Ponta, and the messaging bird all sprout on the ground, just fizzing with electricity. Just like, my man, like, I get it, you wanted help, you're a great guy, yeah, I appreciate it, but maybe run by people next time that you're going to unleash a torrent of lightning that's going to zap everywhere. Now, thankfully, apparently it was very low level lightning. Well, I guess the spell was a mid tier spell, but it didn't kill them, so you gotta be thankful there at least. But still, next time, let people know. Otherwise, you're going to just zap everybody around you. Now, as I said, it was pretty light lightning, so they were able to recover pretty well and get up and continue with their journey. But they did need to make a stop at one of the closest towns to kind of recover. Now, as they're recovering, Ariana's looking at the map, and according to the map, they're getting close to the edge of their known territory. Now, the reason why there is an edge to this map is that past the certain borders, they're going to be entering the Revolian Empire. And I guess apparently the elves don't have maps on the Revolian Empire, which I don't really understand why, because you're kind of like an immortal race almost. You should really have maps on everything, but they don't. They just have the maps to the border of the kingdom, and whereas upon that border ends, the Holy Revolian Empire begins, and it's just complete blank. Now, Ariana never really reveals why the part of the Revolian Empire doesn't have any detailed locations, why it's just kind of like a complete wilderness, but she does mention that within the Empire, elves are still enslaved and captured, not like in the kingdom where they're supposed to be protected. And she's concerned that as they're getting closer to the border, it's not safe for elves, so that's why she keeps her hood over her head, even indoors, to protect herself. Now, as she's explaining this to Ark, a gentleman comes up to them asking if they were the ones that were the cause of the magic going on in the desert earlier in the day. Now, Ark and Ariana turned to the guy who just walked up, and surprise, surprise, he's a fellow elf. Ears pointing out, short hair, easy to tell that he's not a human. Now, Ark immediately is like, yeah, that was us, so how can we help you? Whereas Ariana immediately grabs a bag and throws over the guy's head. He's like, hey, what are you doing? You can't just show yourself as an elf around here. Someone could take you and capture and lug you off. Now, at this, the young man calmly takes the hat off and explains to Ariana, like, he appreciates her concern, but he's quite alright here. That the humans here are his friends, and there's nothing to be really worried about. And almost on cue, one of the bard maidens comes up to him and is like, hey, Carsey, you having your usual drink? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. He's like, okay, sweet, I'll grab it for you. Proving that this isn't his first time in the village and that he's been here long enough, at least, that people know him and they know what he wants to have for his drink. In fact, a couple of the guys in the tavern, like, yo, come drink with us, bro. And he's like, yeah, in 1 minute, I gotta finish some business over here. Proving that he's been here for at least a while if people know him that well. Now, she does question, like, dude, like, do you realize what these people have done to our kind? Like, they've enslaved us, they've tortured us. Like, how the heck can you be friendly with these humans? Like, I get you, I understand, but, I love these people. This is my home, and I see that you're traveling with not only a human, but also a spirit creature. So you're kind of not the most normal elven party in the world either, my friend. And that kind of takes her back a little bit. Like, you can't really deny that. The man's got a point. Now, he goes from here into what he actually wanted to ask them, and that is if they'd be willing to help him capture some monsters. Because apparently, his main job is to be a monster biologist. That's how he makes his living. And there's a particular monster that he's not able to quite catch on his own, that he needs their help to do so. Now, Ark's like, we'd love to help you out, dude, but we really gotta get going. At that, he's like, okay, I understand, I hear you. How about this map of the Holy Revolian Empire? And that perks up Ark's interest. He's like, hey, Ariana, like, we kind of need a map. Like, yours is okay, but we need some details. Like, any details. Even just like a narrow road. We just need something. And Aaron's like, I don't know, man. And like, okay, fine. I hear you. So Casey brings out a monster book that has all his information that he's compiled on monsters for Ark. And that Ark can't hold himself back. You're like, okay, we need to get this. We need to get this monster book. We need to use it. We need, to help this dude out. Come on, let's go, Ariana. And he just gets so hyper and so engaged that Ariana's like, okay, fine, we'll do it. Yeah, as long as we get the map. And Casey's like, okay, we got a deal. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 6 a.m. And with that, he leaves them at their table and goes have a few drinks with his buddies. Now, I'm not sure about how much time passes, but Ark and Ariana get a room. Ark takes his food up to the room because, he can't really stay down to eat. Now, Ark does overpay a little bit. He offers the barmaid 5 coins, but really he just needed to pay with 1. So in exchange, she gives him a barrel of really good alcohol. Now, Ark and Ariana go upstairs, and they, since they got some time to kill, start having shots. And, well, we learned something really interesting. Ariana is a complete lightweight. She has 2 shots, and she is plastered. And she cannot get over the fact that there's an elf in this human town that's completely comfortable being around humans and has no issues with it. She just starts wrecking everything. Ark tries to keep her under control, but it just doesn't really end well. Now, you can hear the ruckus she's making all the way down to the basement. So everyone in the tavern's like, damn, okay, well, somebody's getting lucky tonight. So when they go downstairs the next morning, the barmaid, she doesn't really come out and say it exactly, but she's like, hint, hint, nudge, nudge. And Ariana's like, wait, nothing happened last night, right? Right, Ark? And Ark just turns to the barmaid like, there's nothing quite like a woman completely free from all restraints. And they just have a good laugh about it. I mean, Ark knows that nothing happened, but he's just letting Ariana have a little bit of embarrassment there. Now they head out, they go meet up with Casey and his friend, who are going to be driving the wagons out to where they're going to be finding their monster. And Ark and Ariana apologize for the tardiness, and he's like, hey, I understand it, it's okay. But man, you made quite the ruckus last night. Everyone in the village pretty much heard you. And he just turns around and goes back to his wagon. And everyone's just fuming. He's like, I could kill that man. I could just strangle him. And it's a great scene. I personally love it. Now, they get into their wagons and are heading out into the desert. As they're going along, apparently Ariana still hasn't got over the alcohol from the last night. She has quite the hangover, and the motion sickness from the cart isn't helping her at all. Now, as they're going along, Ark is asking Casey, like, hey, by the way, what monster are we hunting here? And he's like, oh, yeah, so we're hunting a giant sandworm. Now, it's about, 3 to 5 meters long, so it shouldn't be too much for you and Ariana to handle. He's like, oh, okay, great. By the way, what's this horrible smell that's behind us, man? He's like, oh, well, those are just the rotting corpse of goblins. We're going to use that as bait, because apparently the sandworms during the day, they go down deep in the sand to hibernate in nice, cool sand, and during the night, they come out from the bottom of the sand to go do their hunting. Also, apparently, they're long enough to go and hunt the wyverns that are flying in the sky, so whenever the flocks of them show up, so do the sandworms. These things are not to be joked with. Now, the whole point for doing this is to hopefully understand the sandworms a bit better so that they can cut back on any accidental casualties caused by these creatures later on in the future, which, makes sense. Now, as they're going along, the human that's driving the cart next to them tosses Ark a tea that he can drink. Apparently, it has some soothing qualities for motion sickness and when you're hungover. Ark passes it over to Ariana, who takes it and tries it some of it cautiously, and apparently it works out great. So she drinks some more, and she just irely looks over at the guy. Doesn't really quite smile or say thank you, but she doesn't really treat him hostilely. So that's good. I'm glad to see that she has not gone over her dislike of humans yet. So I'm glad it's still there. I just wish that we would got to see a little bit more still over the series versus it just coming up more in this episode now. To be fair, she's just been traveling with Ark, but I wish we would have had a little bit more back and forth of how she feels about humans and how she's working through that discrimination that she has towards humans. Maybe rightfully so, but discrimination all the same. Now, as Ariana is drinking her tea, she's looking out behind them, and all of a sudden she sees like some shaking the ground, something looks like it's falling them. She notifies Ark and the driver and Casey, And as soon as they turn around, and out comes a 30-meter sandworm, destroying Casey's friend's wagon and with him with it. Thankfully, he's not dead yet, but he looks like he's pretty injured. And the sandworm, well, it pretty much hasn't dead to rights. This thing is like, as I said, 30 meters long, and it looks like it's going for the kill. Now, Ariana rushes forward to try to save the man. She uses flames on it, but it doesn't have much effect on this creature. It's just too massive. Now, Ark, he rushes in to save Ariana and the man, holding the creature back for at least a little bit. Ariana is able to get the man to safety along with Casey, as Ark is having to deal with this 30-foot long worm. Now, they're having a bit of a competition of strength here, and we get to see once again how extremely overpowered Ark is. He just grabs that 30-foot long giant ass worm and brings it into the air and slams it down. It was pretty epic, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, it was pretty nice. Like, Ark is just showing off his moves here. He's just bringing it down like a WWE character. Never really watched WWE, to be honest with you. But anyways, with the worm defeated, Ark's like, hey, will this thing do for your research? And Casey's like, yeah, that should do the trick just fine. And a whole bunch of the villagers come out, help him stake down the sandworm so that they can do some more research on it. Now, at this point, apparently there was a red ring stuck into the sandworm, kind of like what happened to the basilisk and the wolves, but no one noticed this one, so they didn't realize that this was a similar situation that they've had to deal with before. But now they don't really know to be more concerned that this has been another creature that's been tampered with. Now, Casey brings over the map and the book to Ark and Ariana, who take it graciously and head on their way to leave the area. Now, Ariana is still contemplating the fact that an elf and humans are working together. She still can't get over that, but she asks Ark, like, hey, what do you think of this scenario? And Ark gives her a pretty honest and good answer, like, probably not the overall population of humans and elves, but on the more individual level, like us and that dude and his people, like, yeah, sure, it can work out just fine. But on the mass scale, that might be a little bit more difficult. I mean, we see that nowadays, that there are two groups that just don't like each other, but people from those groups on the individual level can get along just fine. It's just when you put massive groups together, sometimes just water and vinegar, and they don't mix. Now, as they're riding away, we cut over to a dark cavern where it looks like an imperial bureaucrat is questioning a dude with a couple of ladies of the night all over him, just, making out with him occasionally. Apparently, this is the dude Fumba that the Emperor had been talking about last time. And he's doing some kind of creature, some kind of project that are going to be used in attack. And the imperial bureaucrat, well, let's just say he doesn't enjoy that Fumba is using common ladies of the night as his playthings at the moment. Because this is supposed to be a pretty top secret location, and Fumba's kind of treating it like, just my hangout. It doesn't really matter. And he also questions, like, hey, by the way, I've also heard reports that there's some townspeople that are going missing at night. You wouldn't have anything to do with that, would you? And Fumba's like, nah, I've just been mostly using slaves and crooks as my feed for the most part. So pretty much, yeah, this dude's complete whack job, complete kind of serial killer. He's been beating people to something out there. Now, he brings the bureaucrat over to show him what's going on, what kind of state their creatures in for the attack. And as they're looking over, he's like, yeah, the monster looks a little bit hungry. So he goes to one of the ladies of the night and pushes her right on in, sending her down into the pit where she gets presumably torn to shreds by the monster down there, feeding it. Completely horrifying the imperial bureaucrat, but Fumba just laughs at it like, soon we're going to unleash you. So this guy, he means serious business. He's just completely twisted in the head. So he's going to be a great villain for our heroes to meet up eventually. Now, I don't know if that's going to be this episode or next episode, but we'll find out soon. Now, the episode overall, I thought was pretty good. We got to see that Ariana still isn't quite over her discontent with humanity, that she still has a long way to go. Versus when the previous episode we saw, it looked like she was pretty much over it. So I liked seeing that she still had some room to grow. I loved seeing that Ark was still enthusiastic about learning about wyverns and other monsters, and just got super nerdy about having a chance to learn more about these creatures. So that's what I enjoy. I also like that not all the elves view humans in a negative light. That if Ariana is kind of like the middle person, just like kind of struggling like humans, we got Casey over on the wayside that's like, yeah, I love people. Like, I used to be like you. I used to hate humans, but now I live in this human village, been here for about 10 years, and these are my people. These are my friends. I love being around them. So I'm glad to see that dynamic going on, that we got a little bit of character growth with her, but also that not all elves view humans as evil. Now, overall, I thought the story was, it's simple, fair enough. The It's simple, fair enough. Arkham area travel into a town. They meet up with one of the locals. They get a job. They finish the job pretty quickly, and then they get their map and book to go into the Revolian Empire without much issue. That's fair, but I thought it was still pretty good. So I'm also going to give it a 7.5. Will I come back to this episode again and watch it? Yeah, I see why not. It's good. It's decent. It plays itself through, so I don't see an issue here. I also like the ending with Fumba showing how much of a creep and evil dude he is. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he is used in these last few episodes, if he is. Now, anime does do this from time to time where they show you a great evil character and they don't use him until the second season, so it might be one of those situations. But let me know your thoughts down below. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Thanks for watching, everybody. You have a good day. Bye.